Hello, I'm Maria from the Richardson's Homeschool Life. Today is Vlogmas number 14. I really am losing track now. I'm sat on my sofa today. I feel a bit exhausted. I've just been doing mince pies. Well, I've been making the pastry, put in the freezer. Next week I'll get it out and make the mince pies. So I thought, well, I've just done that. I'm sitting down. I'm having a nice milky coffee in me Christmas mug, and I thought might have a chat with you about my earliest recollections of Santa. So I don't know how many of you actually follow that tradition. It's all right, I'm moving you a bit. I've got you balanced on cushions. At least if you fall, you'll have a soft landing. So yeah, like I say, I'm going to talk about my earliest recollections of Santa, which really isn't a great deal, to be honest. Like with Santa traditions, my mum, she took me to see Santa when I was little in a shopping centre, and I don't remember it. I can honestly say I don't remember visiting any Santas ever. And I went with my mum, apparently. This is what she told me, but she didn't take me again because I cried at Santa, cried at the elves, and cried at the whole thing. The only time I stopped crying was when they gave me a present. So she didn't bother again. But after that, I was the eldest of my siblings. After that, when she'd had a few more children, it was quite expensive anyway to lug us all into town on a bus and pay to see Santa, and it wasn't really worth money. So yeah, that was my only visit to Santa, apparently, but I don't remember it. I don't remember it at all. So, Santa, recollections of him. I mean, my mum used to write Christmas presents. All our presents came to Maria, Happy Christmas, love from Santa. Never said from mum and dad, always said from Santa. And my brothers were the same. All our presents were all from Santa. And which I thought was a bit strange, really, because I did used to wonder how some children had big things like bikes and things like that, and maybe we'd had something smaller, and perhaps one of my brothers would have asked for a bike. I know I had one brother that always asked for a bike and never got one, ever, in his whole life. So I used to think that was a bit strange, but because we loved what we had, when Christmas Day came around, you wasn't too bothered, sort of thing. And I always seemed to get what I wanted anyway. I always picked like things, like I was saying the other day, from this DuPont van, I would pick things, or there'd be things I liked all things anyway. So yeah, but everything came from Santa. And like I say, all our presents were written to us from Santa, but none of us actually went to see a Santa. Now, one strange thing happened. We did believe in Santa, we did believe in it, but we never saw it other than picture cards and things like that. And I don't recall a Santa coming around the village like they come around the village here. I don't recall one coming around our village when we were children. So it was more like the story we were told of Santa, and it was just a traditional thing that you were told, and you accepted it and believed it, and you genuinely thought Santa bought you presents. In fact, I believed it so much. Christmas Eve, we used to try and stay awake as long as we could. Now, I was the only girl, so I had a room of my own, and I've got brothers, and they shared a room. And so we used to stay awake, and we used to call to each other. And then my dad would hear us and go, "Will you not go to sleep?" Because, of course, they couldn't put any presents out until we were asleep. But we'd try and stay awake to catch Santa. Then I remember once I'd fallen asleep, and I woke up with a jolt. I thought, oh, no. And you kicked me in the bed because our presents were always left at the foot of our bed, on our bed. So if you kicked the bottom of the sheet, you could feel the parcels when they'd been delivered, and the stocking would be hung over the bedstead, because there was always bedsteads then. And so I'd fallen asleep and woke up with a jolt, and I thought, oh no, I've missed it. And I kicked the bed and I couldn't feel nothing. I thought, no, I haven't missed it. I haven't missed Santa. And I called to my brother, and they were awake. I got answered. And yeah, then suddenly I heard this jingling. I heard the jingling and I could hear it outside. And I swore blind it was in the sky. I could hear a jingling in the sky. And I was like, oh, it's the reindeer, you know. And I was just saying to my brothers, wake up, I can hear the reindeer, I can hear them. And we rushed to our windows to look out the windows and couldn't see no reindeer, couldn't see anything. And yeah, I always remember that. And then the sound went and my mum and dad said to me, oh, you won't get no presents if you're wide awake. Santa will just miss you out. He's probably flown over, because I was shouting then to Mum and Dad, I can hear Santa. And they said, he's probably flown over and missed you out because you're not asleep. Well, me and my brothers, we darted into bed so fast and, you know, sleep as quick as a wink then. Fast asleep. So yeah, and then when we'd wake up early in the morning, then you'd kick the bed and you'd feel the parcels. And it's like, oh, Santa's been brilliant. Santa's been... So that's like my earliest recollections of Santa. So apart from Mum saying she taught me that once, I don't remember myself ever going to see Santa or seeing him around a village. I just can't remember. I mean, maybe my brothers will remember something, but I don't remember seeing him at all. But this one Christmas, I can remember hearing the reindeers and the bells jingling, and it was like, oh, I was so excited, unbelievably excited. It gave me a stomach ache. I was so excited. But yeah, I mean, what the bells were, I don't know, but I genuinely heard them. Maybe my dad rang some bells downstairs, you know, to tell me then that Santa had missed me out if I didn't go to sleep, because they were waiting to go to bed and needed to put the presents out. So I don't know. To this day, I'll never know. And if my mum and dad had done it, they took that secret to the grave with them. So I don't know. But I do remember hearing it and swearing blind it was in the sky and associating it with Santa's reindeers. But I remember being so excited about that. So yeah, that's really my only recollection of Santa. But like I say, my mum always wrote presents to us from Santa. Then when I grew up, the children saw Santa around the village. Santa always came around the village. But my dad used to take my oldest ones to see Santa, but they wasn't over fussed with it. They didn't really like it. In fact, most of the time when you see the Santas and the queues, children are really dead quiet and won't speak or look the other way, or they're crying. It's quite scary. So my children were never that mad on it. I remember my dad taking my oldest son Carl to see Santa in the town, and he said he cried the whole time. He just cried, and he got a present and he got some rubber ducks. And I can remember him having the rubber ducks. But yeah, they didn't really sort of go and see Santa that much. But when I grew up and I had children, I never ever wrote presents. Well, still don't. I never wrote from Santa on any of them. I always put from Mum and Dad, because I always thought, well, there's children who can't have a lot, and then they're going to think, well, why doesn't Santa give that to me when they've given the same thing to somebody else? Are they better than me? You know, does he love them more than me? And so I never wanted that scenario. I thought that was a bit of a dangerous scenario, really, for children's feelings. So when I grew up, I always put from Mum and Dad. And what I used to say to the children was that we buy the presents, we send them to Santa, and he deals with them. He takes care of them, and he deals with them and brings them back on Christmas. He watches if you're good, and then you can have them then if you're good. But that's what I always said, that we bought the presents and we sent them on to Santa. I never ever put from Santa, always from Mum and Dad, because they know then, you know, that if you haven't got a lot, you haven't got a lot of money, and they wouldn't think twice about it. But they always got most things they asked for anyway, because I used to have this catalogue at the post office. You paid in every week and they give you a catalogue and you picked what you wanted with the money, and you knew what the children wanted as well. And it was so much easier when they were younger. Now it's absolutely impossible to know what they want. But when they were younger, it was really easy to do. So really that's sort of my recollections of Santa and our traditions with Santa through the family. I presume maybe my mum's mum, my granny, would have put from Santa. Maybe that's where my mum got it from, because you could see elements of the traditions passed through. Maybe one of my vlogs I will talk about the family traditions of Christmas that we have, but that probably is one of them, writing from Santa. And my mum said that when she was a child, she does remember a child having a lump of coal because he'd been naughty. Whether that was because the parent didn't have no money and said he was naughty, I don't know. But she did say he'd been naughty, and she does remember him having a lump of coal. So maybe that was from Santa. So my mum wrote from Santa, but I didn't do that. Santa, recollections of Santa when we stopped believing in Santa. Now, I was quite old. I was just started secondary school, and it was children at secondary school that told me there was no such thing as Santa, and I didn't believe them. I didn't believe them at all. So I went home and asked my mum, and my mum took me to one side and she said, well, yeah, it's a children's story. She said, but don't tell your brothers, because I'm the oldest. She said, don't tell your brothers. And I remember feeling quite robbed, really. I remember feeling lied to. I thought, why did she tell me all them stories? Why couldn't, she just say it was mum and dad? I don't know, I'd have just felt so much better thinking it was mum and dad. And I remember thinking, I felt stupid for one, and foolish at school, because kids at school had told me, and of course they make fun out of you then. So I felt foolish and stupid for that. And I felt a bit lied and cheated to by my mum and dad for saying that, he existed and was bringing presents when he wasn't, and it was them. And I'm thinking, why don't they just say it was them? Why did they go for all this elaborate story? And I remember feeling a bit shocked. I was so shocked, I did go and tell my brothers. And actually one of my brothers did remind me of this a few months back, and he was saying, you were the person who told me there was no such thing as Santa. He says, and you proved it. He says, because you took me in mum and dad's bedroom and showed me where the presents were hidden. Because when this person had told me at school, they said, if you don't believe me, check out your parents' bedrooms or where they hide things, and where you're not allowed to go and have a look. Which I did, and I did find them. So I went to show my brothers and said, there's no Santa, it's a fib, and they were like, quite disappointed that there wasn't this magical figure called Santa, and why hadn't mum and dad just said it was mum and dad. That was quite all right to say that. So yeah, with my children, they've never really been led to believe there's a Santa. Sean definitely hasn't. Sean's known right from birth that there was no Santa. It's just a fun figure that's in storybooks and things like that, and she's enjoyed it for that reason. The fact it's been in storybooks and just like a fun figure, just a Christmas feature basically, and she's really enjoyed it for what it actually is, and she's more than happy, not knowing. She's never worried about it, never bothered about it. She's quite happy the way it was. She never told any of the others, because I always said, if their parents tell them something, let them believe that. So it's for them to sort out, So yeah, that's really our Santa traditions. But yeah, that one year when I thought I heard the bells, that was amazing. I really did think it was Santa. I really did. So now I don't know what it was. I just think perhaps it was my mum and dad doing something just to make us go to sleep, so they can say we won't get nothing if we didn't go to sleep, because they must have been waiting to go to bed, because we try and stay awake all night. All night we would. But it was like my children, even though they knew presents were from mum and dad, they'd still get up about 3 or 4 in the morning to open them. Sean, she's the opposite totally. She's just happy to lie in and like, are you getting up? Because we like to open presents together. Are you getting up? Come on, Sean. Yeah, okay, I'm coming. You do know it's Christmas Day. Your presents are all here. And she's like, yeah, I'm coming. It's like, come on. So yeah, so that's really it for Santa. Well, my mum would have believed in it. Obviously her parents had told her, because she'd passed that tradition down when we were small. And the one year I did believe I'd heard him, and my brothers, they didn't actually hear anything when I told them to listen, but they were as excited as me because they believed I had heard something. And also like my children, I never really said, oh, this magical figure called Santa brings you presents. I've always put from mum and dad, and but I used to say when they were really small, when they sort of Well, they sort of half believed it and half not, and I would say, oh, your presents go to Santa, but I don't know if they ever really believed it, because we never pressed Santa on them. And with Sean, it was totally different. We didn't at all. We didn't start that off at all. So, yeah, that's it, really. That's my Santa story. So, join me again tomorrow. Thank you for watching today, and please join me again tomorrow, and we'll see what we'll do for Vlogmas Day 15. Bye.